Go through your most recent drafts that you prepared with the help of AI. Pay attention just to the opening line, the hook. Could somebody else have literally copy pasted that hook and used it in their own talk or used it in their own email that they were about to send to their clients or to their funders? Is that true? Because if it is, you understand what might be needing to be fixed in how you are interacting with AI. And this particular video, I'm going to show you exactly how I use AI right now, right? And I'm going to bring you in on how I used AI specifically to land a talk where, it was like a really big stakes talk. This is something that actually got me results. This is a global search, and I was one of the people that they spoke to at the very, very end to consider like, oh, are you the right person to step onto the stage? So let's get into that, right? I'm going to own the first draft entirely. It's going to sound bizarre and weird and like me. And one of the first things I did is I actually didn't open AI. I opened an old school processor and I put all of my thoughts in there. The good thing is the thoughts can be very messy, right? The thoughts don't have to be, like super polished, but I put in everything that I wanted to say and made it a first draft that I could be mostly proud of. And then, understanding what the beauty of AI is, I took that draft and I put it to Claude. But don't just put the draft to AI and say, hey, make this better. AI responds really well to being trained. And these are the words verbatim that I say is, I need you to keep this in my language. Let's say, like, depending on where I'm going, 70 to 90%, this needs to retain all of my language. I want you to pay attention to the idiosyncrasies in how I use language. Pay attention to the strange metaphors, stick to those. And then I ask AI, okay, how can we strengthen the logic of what it is that we are saying? Because that's the place where AI is actually supercharged and can catch things where sometimes I'm contradicting my own logic. And if I want to contradict my own language, because sometimes that's a thing in communication, right? It makes somebody pay attention a little bit more. If I want to do that, cool, I can keep it. But let me be self-aware about how I'm using that. And then I ask AI to go in and to really pay attention to transitions. Are the transitions making sense so the person who's listening isn't on a cognitive jump every time I'm introducing a new idea, but without sanding it down, without making everything super smooth like butter, and instead keeping it in my language? Like I said, I ask AI these specific words. I say, hey, I want you to show me my blind spots. Show me my blind spots, right? Don't spare me. And I also say that, quite frankly, I have often told Claude, I actually need you to save like the praise and everything and go straight for the jugular vein. Again, quotation marks, exactly what I feed the machine to teach the machine. This is the kind of feedback I need, and this is how I need you to help me strengthen this piece of communication. When you ask AI to give you your own blind spots, you're asking AI to perform like a coach. To say, yeah, that's fantastic, but girl, have you considered that the way that this comes across, you might be missing that this is having an unintended effect? It is as good as you are willing to put work in. And I think that is very counterintuitive to the messaging that we constantly get about AI, that it is, oh my God, it's going to take over everything. Something that's going to take over everything is something that is already able to do the things without your assistance. But what I'm here to tell you, and this is what I learned from using AI for just about solidly in my work for over about a year, is it definitely responds to you teaching it and you being the person who is very much in the driver's seat, very much creating the work yourself. Like, you need to be the author of it completely. This is how I approached my talking. And then I used AI really to strengthen me, like to make it better, with, again, me kind of holding its hand and saying, here's how I would like you to coach me. Here's the places where I know that this could be better. Can you help me get there, right? Do you see the difference? It's subtle, and it's maybe a little bit, here's the analogy that keeps coming to my mind. You know how people talk about real estate? And you know how they love to use the word passive real estate? Like, there's such a thing as an investment grade where you can put your money in and you don't have to think about it anymore. Like, it's just running on Airbnb and people are booking constantly and you don't have to do anything. Well, I'm here to tell you, okay? I know this firsthand. There is nothing passive about real estate. Maybe some forms of real estate, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I can't talk to something that I don't know. But the kinds of short-term real estate that I have seen, that my friends are investing in and actually turning a profit in, girl, like the amount of work, the amount of small things, big things. And I try to be the kind of guest when I'm in an Airbnb space where I'm not taking over somebody's life, but things happen all the time. Show me the part where it's passive. And this is my approach as well to how I use AI, as though it is real estate and I can't afford to treat it as passive investment. Instead, I really need to understand there has to be a management plan on this baby for this thing to actually turn the ROI, the return on investment that I said is the goal. So let's talk about the kind of tools that are available for you when you're building a talk. For my research, I use Gemini, and Gemini, you may be using it without even realizing that you're using it because it's Google's AI. When you go to Google and you search for like and then it says like, here's the AI response, that's Gemini. Gemini will look for that research, and then I can go even deeper on that specific piece of research. Like, oh, why is that? What are scholars saying about why this is happening? Where is this happening most prevalently, right? So Gemini can keep digging further, and Gemini will also say like, actually, I don't know, like I've tapped out. I don't have any more research on that specific thing. Once you've built your talk, there's tools that can help coach you through your talk. For example, Udly is considered the Grammarly of speech giving. And this is a tool that is supposed to help you with how to deliver your talk better. Virtual Orator is to help you with things like the cadence and the arc of how you deliver your talk. Personally, again, I've never touched any tool that is about how to deliver a talk. I'm very skeptical, let me just name that, right? And one of the things I do with my clients is exactly this. I work with clients to not only build the talk from scratch, but to also give the best talk of your life that actually gets the results that you want. And my skepticism around how AI is going to be able to do this is the point of your talk, of any talk with any audience, is to move a human being. Human beings, the most idiosyncratic, weird, can never claim you know how these people are going to react, even when you are one of them. Like I myself, I'm one of those people, like I could tell you this is how it's going to be, but then tomorrow you come to me and you're like, Mahokodi, this is how you said you're going to react. And the way that I react on that day, you're like, girl, but like, and I myself am at a different place tomorrow, so I will be surprised just as much as you. That is the nature of being a human being. We are highly self-contradictory and we are highly unpredictable. So for me, my skepticism is, how is AI going to be able to mimic that in an audience, in giving you the kind of coaching that a human being is best able to, because only a human can catch some of the things that some people in your audience may react to, you know? And then the other thing that I found, like I said, it's actually documented, and Claude is self-aware about this, that there's like a sycophant kind of thing going on with AI that is just reinforcing and clapping hands all the time to whatever it is you're saying. And an audience is not going to do that. Even when you give Claude the instruction of show me my blind spots, I think that an audience is going to be even harsher, especially when you're asking that audience to do something, and that do something is tied to their hard-earned dollars. The skepticism is a healthy skepticism for the audience, right? And for me, I want to know what are the things that another human being would be skeptical about that AI might not see, that AI might not catch. AI can only remix what already exists. It can only take what you tell it and use that, kind of like ingredients, to bake the cake that you asked for. So what is a nobody else test? Every single time you feed something to AI, ask yourself, could nobody else deliver this line? It's a yes, no answer. And if the answer is yes, somebody else could deliver the line, then you are running into the problem, and that is AI will only smooth out information, and it will make your voice sound generic if you allow it. If the answer to the nobody else test is no, nobody else could deliver this line, like, girl, I don't know what to tell you except like that is the money line. That is the thing that you need to run with, because nobody else is exactly the part that is different that AI could never do. AI could never sound like you. That's impossible. Maybe it sounds a little bit more of a polished version. Maybe it sounds like the more grammatically correct version, but AI could actually never sound like you. And one of the things that I'm also going to ask you to consider, and this is what I do all of the time, I don't want to sound grammatically correct all the time. I'm a trained writer, okay? I'm somebody who is definitely supposed to know all of the places of where do you cross the T's and dot the I's. I mean, like, small point of precision here, that's actually not what being a trained writer is about, but it's often what people think it's about, so let's just roll with it. I want to sound like myself, and the way that human beings speak and sound is often not grammatically correct, and is often not the most polished way of saying things. So make sure, even when you're doing the nobody test, that you're not taking out the parts that make you sound like you come from around the way, because those parts are the parts that people want to hear, because they hear themselves in you and in how you express yourself. Right? So the nobody else test is really powerful, and it is a tool that can help you stay on track as you are using your favorite AI tool to make sure you still sound like yourself. I actually have a free tool that you can download right now, how to sound like the expert you are without sounding like a LinkedIn bio. This is especially useful if you're walking into a room with new people that you have no idea, you don't know anybody in this particular audience, and you want to sound like a really amazing expert, but you also want to sound like yourself, right? And you want to break into new conversation, and you want to showcase your excellence, your expertise, your work. How do you speak to that? How do you share your stories in a way that is organic and in a way that invites people to work with you who don't know you? You can check that out. Link is in the description box. This is Madam Speaker Says. Before you go though, I am going to ask you in the comments, yes or no, do you use AI in preparing for big stakes communication, to tell a story, or to win people over? Let me know in the comments, and also let me know what are some of the AI tools that I might have missed that you swear by, that you use all the time. Let me know in comments. Again, thank you so much for being here. I'm Claude, and I will see you here next time on Madam Speaker Says. Toodles!